Temp check. What kind of summer are we having this year? A family road trip summer? A beach bum summer? Or a wake me up when the sun sets summer? With Instacart, choose your own adventure and skip the shopping side quests. Where available, you can get ice cream delivered to your hotel, sunscreen to the pool, or cold brew to your bed. Well, door, in as fast as 30 minutes. Wherever you find yourself this summer, you can get the goods. Download Instacart for free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Excludes restaurants. Additional terms and fees apply.
And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly mini-sode where we dig into the things that we've been watching
I'm
and
Mary
reading.
Beth. I'm
I'm
very
Terry.
excited to talk about what we've been reading, especially. But before we talk about that, we are also talking about A Waking Nightmare, low budget cosmic horror, A Gay Groundhog's Day, one fucking scary horror novel, obviously, and Problem Solvers and Sun Tea.
I haven't even begun to problem.
We should take off shirts and switch. Anywho, what is this Waking Nightmare?
Okay, so this movie just world premiered at Chattanooga Film Festival, and it sounded interesting, so I requested a screener, and it's a really assured feature film debut by a writer director named
Oh!
Rachel.
Yes, I didn't watch
Kane?
this yet. Somnium?
It's really good.
Hell yeah! Oh, I need to watch
Yes,
this.
it is called Somnium.
Yes, okay.
I think you're really going to dig it. So it stars Chloe
I think it's
Levine,
Levine,
or
yeah.
I think it's Levine, who was in she was in The Ranger and the OA, and she plays a Georgian small town girl that has moved to LA to be an actor. And when we're joining her pretty much very soon after she moved to LA, she has her apartment and she's trying to get a job while she is pursuing acting, trying to make it big. And the first part of the movie, she's striking out at all these different places. No one is hiring. Everyone is being very smug with a "not today" kind of attitude. And after one failed attempt at getting a job, she sees across the street this building that says Somnium and that they are hiring. And so she goes over there. She asks if they are hiring. The doctor that runs this sleep clinic says, "Let's go interview," and basically hires her and says to come back. So her job is to basically take the graveyard shift at this sleep study place where this doctor has developed this technique where while people are sleeping through this program, they mess with their brains a little bit by showing images of like stuff that they want. So the idea is that like if someone, wants to get a beautiful spouse or have this great job or do something, they create a dream scenario that is being beamed basically into their
Oh.
subconscious while they sleep to sort of yeah, to sort of like manifest that feeling in the person so that they'll be successful. And this clinic's been running for 15 years. She's had a lot of successes. And so we have Chloe's Gemma, who is now working here, working the night shift, and she starts to see weird things. There's this right? There's this tall,
Great. Love
gangly
that. Always a
creature
good sign of nothing bad
that
or weird.
and she keeps seeing it like
Good,
lurking in
good,
the
good,
shadows, and then she starts seeing weird things at her
good.
home in her apartment.
Great,
And
great, great.
it sort of goes from there, and it is quite a journey. The way it's structured is that we are in the now, and then there's a lot of flashbacks to the life that she left
Okay.
in Georgia,
Okay.
sort of filling in her backstory. And you got kind of get the feeling that she is like maybe she was leaving small town, and small town didn't necessarily want to have her leave. So like there's this feeling of she left a boy back there, she left her friends, she's trying to make it in LA. And so there's all this kind of stuff kind of percolating in the background
Oh.
while she's dealing with spooky shit happening at night. The second act is a little
Okay.
meandering for me, but overall, I think this is a very like, while it's meandering and while I don't think the second act worked 100% for me, this is still a very assured debut from Rachel Kane. You can tell that everything that went into this was artistic intent, and when I was looking her up, it seems like the screenplay won first place at the
Oh,
Los
okay.
Angeles Screenplay Competition, and the project was shortlisted for Breaking Through the Lens
Oh,
Initiative
cool.
at Cannes
Oh, okay.
2020. So like, yeah. So I there's like this. It feels that like once I watched the movie, I was like, this feels like something that should have
Yeah.
gotten a lot of attention, and it apparently did. And it's I think it's a really good, creepy
I really liked the trailer, and I really like
movie. I
Chloe
really enjoyed it.
Levine. I've liked her in everything from The Ranger, like to the OA, but also in
Yeah.
The Sacrifice Game. So, yeah,
Oh,
very
that's
different,
right.
like very
Gosh.
much like plays like a quasi responsible adult ish, like a teacher. So I really want to watch. I have the screener.
Yeah,
for
that's
this, so
right.
thank you
I
for
forgot.
reminding me to watch it, because I was super stoked that Chloe Levine's in another cool ass like female helmed project. She's awesome.
She's
I
great in
think
it.
she just needs more
She's
work. I
great
just
in
think
it.
she's so good.
She's stunning in this. There's a moment where we get to see her audition for a role,
Oh.
and like captivating her performance as someone that's pretending to be someone else, like multi-layered, but like that performance, I was so captivated. I was like, she is a fucking star. She needs a movie to like be a breakout hit
It's
for
like the
her,
Micah
because
Monroe effect.
she's
Like
incredibly
she just
talented.
deserves more. Hopefully she'll get a movie like a Micah Monroe type scenario and like be a one of those like takes you 10 years to be a breakout star type situations.
But yeah, I highly recommend it. Keep your eyes on this, listeners. I don't know if it has any. I don't know what the distribution is yet, because it literally just world premiered. But keep this one on your radar. Go add it to your your Letterboxd account, because it's good. I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Well, I'm excited because that's definitely been one that I've been anticipating. So very exciting.
Yeah. And the monster's
Ooh,
creepy.
love that.
The monster's creepy as fuck. It was giving like
Okay.
Doug
Okay.
Jones performance is what it was kind of
It
giving.
seems to be a theme in what we're talking about today.
All right, low budget. Does it? Low budget.
So this is
cosmic
another
horror. I can't
Chattanooga
wait.
film. This was The Lonely Man with the Ghost Machine, which is Graham Skipper's new movie.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I
this is
wanna
Graham
see
Skipper's
that
new
so
movie. Graham
bad.
Skipper is just a great gentleman. He's in a lot of like indie stuff. He is in the Toxic Avenger movie that I have no idea what's happening with that. But he also loves Godzilla and all this awesome stuff. He's just like a genuinely good dude.
Yeah.
And so this is his latest film that is definitely, it's like a beautiful low budget cosmic horror world building piece that is very much a very personal film for him, is what he said. Very obviously reflective of the COVID disaster. I know that sounds like it sounds hyperbolic, but it's not. But in this film, there's a global catastrophe called the Calamity, where we hear through radio that basically one day, so the sky opened, things came out of the sky to devour the world. And that now this guy, Wazik, who's Graham Skipper plays, is alone at the end of the world in this cabin in the middle of nowhere. And he has a machine that he turns on every night, and his wife comes back, but she just sits there. So he's able to kind of he's made this machine that can conjure her, but she just sits there. But yes, his wife is dead.
Is she dead?
We kind of are alluded to something happening at the beginning where she doesn't make it, and now he's by himself, and he's mourning her loss and is pining after her and trying to find a way to bring her back, while also coping with the loneliness of living alone at the apocalypse. And also he talks to somebody on a tape recorder, and he has like conversations with himself essentially. And then one night, a big bad wolf essentially comes
Okay.
and knocks on the door and keeps asking to be let in, and he won't let him in, and he comes back every night asking to be let in. And the movie is basically about this guy trying to figure out what in the shit is going on around him, and is this an apocalyptic thing? Is this real? What is it? And it's very much single location, low budget, only a couple people in the cast, but I was really impressed with the emotional range in the movie,
Mm.
and does in fact answer my questions about having IBS as a person with IBS in the apocalypse and what it means to not be able to leave your house. To uh, just a funny part that involves food poisoning and you can't go outside at night, and he doesn't have a bathroom in his house, and it's about him dealing with that. So just I
Oh
feel that in my
no.
soul. Well, it is, and
That's a
I know
nightmare
that
right
it's not
there.
to do with IBS, but man, oh man, because I think about this with the fucking Quiet Place. I'm fucked in a quiet place.
Oh yeah. My tummy
I'm
would be
dead,
gurgling and
babes.
alerting. I'd be dead
There's
day
nothing I can
one.
do. I'm sorry. So, anyway, I was really impressed by this, The Lonely Man with the Ghost Machine. I just am always impressed by what people can make with such low budgets and with so little resources, but a lot of passion. And Graham Skipper is definitely one of those filmmakers. So this is another one that I am not sure
Yeah.
of the distribution information yet, but I'm hoping it'll probably come out sooner rather than later, just because of Graham Skipper's own base and all that good stuff. It's a really, some people are like, oh, it's harmed by its budget, but I think it's a really cool way to show how you can do a film like that without having a massive budget. Obviously, yes, a bigger budget would be great, but what can you do with two
Well, sure,
dollars and a
but
camera?
let's.
And it's really interesting and cool and a little bit different, and that's exactly what this is. So
I mean, people say that, but hello, Justin Benson, Aaron Moorhead, that was their MO before they
yeah,
started to hit
exactly.
bigger. You know what I
So
mean?
I just really liked it. I think Skipper's a great filmmaker. I think it's another really cool
Yeah.
piece of yeah.
He seems like a
If
really
you
nice
liked
dude
After
too.
Midnight, or if you liked Glorious, the Rebecca McKendry movie, you'll dig this. Very similar vibes of emotional storytelling with a creature and a guy trying to figure out, it's not necessarily a new story, but there's good spins on it that keeps it feeling kind of
Yeah.
unpredictable. And I really like how they play with gender in this as well, as he keeps bringing his wife back. I'm not going to spoil it, but
Okay.
just the conversations around gender are much more interesting than I expected. I thought this was going to be just about him, but it evolves into a really interesting conversation about his wife. So I was pretty surprised by that in a good
Okay.
way. So yeah, because sometimes those movies
Hell yeah.
don't always
I
want to
am
engage
looking
with
forward
the
to this
female
one.
perspective. You know what I mean? They're usually the guy having a crisis, and I'm not saying that's always bad, but it's refreshing to get a movie like this where it's considering at least partially a female perspective rather than just manic pixie dream girl in it. So that is The Lonely Man with the Ghost Machine. Gay Groundhog's Day? Love to hear that. Love that. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so this is another film that just premiered at a festival. This one was I think it was
Okay.
Dances with Film. Um it's premiere it so this it played at this festival. I should say it did not premiere. It premiered earlier in Canada at Inside Out Toronto. Um but this is the movie
Okay.
called Spark, and it is a first time feature debut from Nicholas, and I don't even want to try to pronounce his last name. Giuricic. I apologize, Nicholas. But it's about Aaron, played by Theo Germain, who
Oh,
was
cool, cool,
in
cool.
They Slash Them, and The Politician. They were the lead. I believe they were the
Yes,
lead
they were.
in They Slash Them. Um, yeah, and so it stars Theo as Aaron, who is a hopeless romantic who starts a day in bed waiting a phone call from some dude that he was trying to hook up with that it wasn't working, or they kind of
Okay.
ghosted Aaron. And I'm not 100% sure the pronouns in the
Okay.
movie, so I'm just gonna stick with they because I'm not 100% sure. Um, but they're talking with their roommate, Danny, and it's also the birthday of one of their friends who does these weird scavenger hunts things, and so they go on a scavenger hunt, and it sort of puts Aaron together with a mysterious guy named Trevor, who seems very, I don't know, apathetic about the whole thing. But when they get to one of the houses that's empty, that everyone is filtering through, they have a drink, and the little scavenger hunt card says that you either need to kiss, hug, or talk to a stranger.
Okay. Yeah, you're back.
So they either need to kiss, hug, okay, kiss, hug, or talk to a stranger. And Trevor is like, well, I think the best way to find out is to kiss, and the kiss leads to sex. Um, After Aaron orgasms, all of a sudden they're back in the bed that morning, and it's a
Oh,
repeat.
okay.
And they're like, what's going on? And so they're really confused. They go through the day like a normal, like Groundhog's Day type movie. Happens again, and then they start to play around with it. And so again, this is a feature film uh debut from a writer director, Nicholas. And I think Nicholas is a better
Okay.
director than a writer, at least for this initial film. So this park does some interesting things with the Groundhog's Day formula, and the synopsis compares it to Groundhog's Day meets Vertigo, and I can kind of see the
Okay.
Vertigo connection. There is a mystery about Trevor, and there is a lot to do with people um not being necessarily who they think they are, and it plays with that a little bit. It's kind of a mystery. I would not go so far as to call it a thriller by any stretch of the means. And but it's interesting. It's just, I don't know. There's the script is does not does not kind of gel together. It doesn't feel very cohesive. And so there's a lot of interesting things in here. I just kind of wish Nicholas had threaded the needle a bit more, kind of connecting the theme, because there's a moment in here where I was like, ooh, this could be a very interesting um, inversion slash twist of this formula, and it sort of touches on it but does not commit to it. And I was kind of sad because I was like, this is interesting. So there's some really good ideas in here. The direction is great. The acting is wonderful. I think the script kind of needed a little bit more noodling with,
Okay.
to be
Okay.
perfectly honest. But feature film debut, I had a good time with it. It just sort of didn't quite hit the mark in some places, but I still would recommend it. Don't know its release schedule, but it is playing the festivals, so I'm hoping that, I feel like I feel like Deku or some gay streaming site might pick it up, or like Strand releasing or something. But
I'd
it's
be
fun.
get behind it.
I had a good time with it. Yeah, me too. There's this moment, and I was like, and it doesn't do anything with it after kind of introducing this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this would have been such an interesting third act. Okay. One fucking scary horror novel.
Yeah, so Terry tweeted
Let's
about
talk
this
about it.
week, and it reminded me that I can't for the fucking life of me remember who told me about this, but someone said the scary. Was it Emmett
It
Nahil?
was
Was
during
it?
a podcast, and it was Laurel.
Oh, it was
It was
Laurel.
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 It was
Oh,
Laurel.
okay. Laurel
Laurel?
Hightower. Okay,
Yeah,
because
Laurel. Yep. She said it was the scariest
I
books that she's
remember
read this year.
someone talking about that, and I couldn't remember the name, and I was like, "Fuck, I really want to read that book." And then you tweeted about it, and I was like, "I have to read it right now." So we both read "Incidents Around the House" by Josh Malerman, right? Josh Malerman, who wrote Bird Box. This is his brand new haunted house novel that just came out this week, actually. And I have been reading it on my Kindle. Terry, you've been listening to the audiobook, I believe? Oh, on your Kindle?
No, I've been reading on my Kindle as well. I got an ARC right before it came out because I didn't realize it was coming out
Oh,
this week, and
yeah, I
I went
bought
out to
it.
look to see if I could get an ARC, and so I
I
started
bought
reading
it
it on
because I
my
was like,
Kindle.
oh shit, I want this book right now, and I also am moving soon and cannot fathom the idea of having any more physical fucking objects to move out of this apartment. Sorry. So on the Kindle it is. But anyway, so
Yep.
Incidents Around the House is a fucking scary haunted house story from the perspective of Bella, a young girl who is being visited every night by other mommy. And if you're thinking Coraline, other mother, yeah, that's a good base, like a baseline. It's not like that at all, but like visually speaking, in terms of a big, like looks like her mom, but bigger and more fucked up, like that's exactly what it is.
With a
Yeah,
face where the eyes keep moving.
We'll talk about that in just a second because it gets even fucking scarier. I'm a little bit further. Neither of us have finished this as of while we're recording this. I probably will finish it by the time the episode goes out. Might forget to finish editing in form of finishing this tonight.
Can I read the first page, which isn't a full
Absolutely.
page? Can I read the first page? Because
Yeah.
this is what immediately hooked me. All right. Good night, Daddo. Good night, Mommy. Mommy and Daddo leave my room. I pull the covers up to my chin. Other Mommy comes out of the closet. Hi, I say. I'm so excited to see you again.
So it's written from the perspective
What?
of Bella, and it's really interesting the formatting in terms of like dialogue versus action. Wow, so I did not read Josh Malerman's book where he wrote from the perspective of a pig. So I don't have like that comparison. But boy, oh boy, did he really, really, really embodies the perspective of a kid. Because what is so cool about this book is that he's writing it very well as if we are seeing this through the eyes of like a 6 or 7 year old who understands what is going on, but not fully. And there's such a good balance here of having this kid understand what's happening and not happening, and also like being an anchor for her parents who are very traumatized, and how parents so often use their kids as excuses, and it's really fucked up. And there are some parts where I'm just like, this is just fucked up in the way that these people parent. Like, not inherently bad people, but just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then nothing about how this book has gone has necessarily been how I thought it was going to go, because, you know, we've both read a lot of horror books. I know how haunted house books go. Like, and that's not to say they're bad, but you kind of like are ready for the steps. So I'm reading this and I'm like, okay. But I'm like, just kidding. And like, I have 100 pages left, and like, Jesus fucking Christ, I don't know how it's going to end, to be perfectly honest with you. And this book is the first book that gave me a jump scare. So thanks a lot for that. Jesus Christ.
It's so funny. It's so funny because you texted me saying that this is the first book that gave you a jump scare, and I went, "Oh my God, me too!" Because it is. There's this moment.
I'm curious.
There's two. I gasped at one moment. There's this moment where
that fucking
it involves
sucked.
a playground.
There's one part where it just goes hello, where it just says hello, Bella, and I about fucking shit my pants. I was like, I can just picture it so perfectly, like how it happened, because of the way it's formatted in terms of spacing, and like when things happen, it feels like it's appearing out of nowhere, even though it's on the page, and it's just like, huh. And then you haven't gotten to this part yet, but there's a part involving a bathroom that I yelled, and Steve was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I showed it to him, and he's like, "What is going on?" I'm like, I can't explain it to you. Like, I can't even explain. Like, I don't have time. But yeah, so you have that to look forward to as well.
Yeah, so there were two moments. One involves a playground, and the other one involves the kind of moment that you're talking about, where the parents are like leaning on Bella as an anchor, and it's the mom talking, and then
that was also fucking foul. That was foul. I was like, this is disgusting. Like, this is rancid. Like, everything about this book is rancid, and there's more. And again,
I
Well, and
cannot I
it's just
cannot
so
wait to
sad
get back
because
to it.
this creature, whatever it is saying, can I eat your heart? Or can you go into your heart? And Bella keeps saying no. And she's like, well, I'm just going to keep asking until you let me in, which, obviously we know that doesn't mean anything good. And so there's this really sad, like, kind of between Bella's head about, like, is it just easier if I say yes? And it's just like, it takes kids very seriously in terms of their perspectives. Like, she is innocent, but she's not naive. And you can tell she's had to grow up a lot because of, like, I identified with little Bella because my parents fought all the time and then they got divorced, and then my mom and my stepdad fought a lot. And yes, my mom listens to this now. Sorry, Mom, but it's true. You guys fought a lot. And I just, like, can feel for Bella in terms of just, like, wanting to pretend she doesn't know if bad things are happening, but she's, like, very observant. And it also is a really interesting book that shows you how little parents pay attention sometimes to their kids, and how they, when you're the good, quiet kid, they perhaps ignore you until it's a little bit too late. So there's a lot of, like, really complicated discussions going on in such a cool way in this book that I'm, like, very much sucked into and haven't been able to put down.
And there's a lot there's the subtext behind it
Yeah.
kind of touches on abuse, because it's the idea of, like, this other mommy that is hiding in the closet, but, like, it's the idea of the dual nature of people too. Like, it's this, because she doesn't want anyone to see the other mommy because she's afraid that the other mommy is going to ask them the question that she's been asking her. And so there's, like, she has to be an adult and trying to basically hide and cope with this thing that is a darkness inside the house that she doesn't want anyone else to know about. It's her secret because she's afraid if other people see it, it's going to lead to something else. And so there's a interesting subtext here about someone trying to cover up an abusive relationship, particularly with, like, a kid and a parent that might be abusive, and there's that whole subtext on here. But I think what really got me is the way in which Josh sort of puts us directly in this 8-year-old's mind, so that, like, by like the third chapter, I'm in here and I am in Bella's head. And so when things happen, I am empathizing and I am seeing it from her perspective. There's this really cool moment, very cinematic. There's a really cool moment where there's a party going on and we're following her through the party. And I just, like, as it's written, I can just see, like, a long tracking shot of this crazy party and this little 8-year-old trying to maneuver her way through it, and then something happening. And I just, like, I'm reading this and I'm like, this is gonna
it really is
a fantastic
it's gonna be a movie.
Because I know
there's no way.
I know it's going to get picked up. It's going to be a movie.
There's so many moments
that are going
to be iconic, and I really hope that whoever does it does it justice. Because the creature in this, to me, how I'm envisioning it, feels very much like a Japanese ghost. The way I envision her, it doesn't just read your typical, like, scary woman. Like, the description of this creature is, like, lots of hair.
She's
long,
hairy,
tall, lanky, and the eyes and face move around her body. And it's just, like, very, very Japanese spirit feeling. This feels more like a Japanese horror. Mm-hmm. It's, like, a very interesting, almost American adaptation of Japanese, like, ghost story, in a way, is how I have been reading it a little bit, which is really cool. And it doesn't at all say it is Japanese, but I just think because of, I think of The Grudge, you think of The Ring, there's a different kind of quality to the ghost that he's creating in Incidents Around the House than we usually typically see in a lot of ghost narratives. So between this and Day of the Door, everyone's really just giving me scary fucking ghosts, and I'm really into it. Like, I'm not complaining about it whatsoever.
I'm here for it.
So I'm excited to finish it.
Yeah.
And also, like...
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
I really was hoping to finish it before the recording, because I almost finished it in one night, because I was sitting there and I was reading, and I literally fell asleep with the book in my hand. I've never done that before. I was so sleepy, but I was like, I gotta keep reading this. I literally fell asleep, Kindle in hand, because I wanted to stay up and read it. And I read, like, majority of it. I have, like, my Kindle tells me I have, like, an hour and 40 minutes left. And then I started reading it again, and I want to finish this so bad. It's so good.
Yeah, please.
Josh, come on our
love
podcast.
Yeah, this is the scary fucking book. So it's out now wherever you get your books. So give it a read if you're ready for something just
Absolutely rancid. Ugh. All right, now swinging wildly away. Let's talk about problem solvers and sun tea. And things that used to be sun tea.
So we have we're continuing chronologically here. So we are on episodes 5 and 6. I was like, how do numbers work?
5 and 6.
So this 5th one is where our new cast member has arrived, and we find out that the robot is actually a very hot, sweet Canadian boy. I completely forgot the actor's name. He was in Cheyenne Jackson. He was in
Cheyenne
Werewolves
Jackson.
Within. He was in American Horror Story. He is just like a beautiful. Literally, my first note is, "Oh, he a hottie," and everyone seems kind of like blown away by that. And also, my favorite is he then sparks people being like, "Oh, we have to be nice to the PAs," and Kenneth like is not able to comprehend not being used or useful, and it throws his little head into a tailspin, which is very incredible. Then we also have this weird, like, sexual tension between Lemon and Jack this entire episode, because she decides to, like, he wants to offer her a deal breaker talk show. She says, "Oh, I'll shop it around." He takes offense to that, and they become a feud with sexual tension, which is very strange. Because there's this whole scene where I wrote, like, they're finishing each other's sentences. He moves a candle so she won't light her sleeve on fire because he knows her so well. Normal stuff. And at one point he says, "I want to give you your own talk show." And she goes, "Spit take. Are you serious?" Just...
I love that. I love the relationship in this episode. It is framed like a romantic comedy.
Yes.
It really is. We have like boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back. But it is because their relationship throughout the entire show, spoiler alert, is very platonic. And so like this moment is such a funny inversion of the romantic comedy trope. And from a structural perspective, I just love this episode because of that. And I love that it ends with like this whirlwind spinning camera as they're like, "It's you, it's always been you. I want you to make my show."
Well, there's a point where Jenna and Tracy, who are the problem solvers now, basically say like, this is what Jack gives them a message, and then they give it to Lemon. And Tracy said, "Yeah, that, but just with more weird sexual energy to it." And I was like, what is going on? I was like, I don't like this. I haven't gotten a taste of this at all. And now there's weird sexual energy. I don't like this. It makes me uncomfortable. I thought that we were finally showing a platonic relationship between a man and a woman, despite the hierarchy of power. Why is it now getting sexual? I hate this.
Well, I will let you know that it's never a will they won't they moment. They actually towards the end of the series, they do have a conversation about that, because there were people that watched 30 Rock that were like expecting them to get together. Yeah. And so they sort of play, I think that this is sort of like them playing with the audience a bit, because there's a couple moments earlier on where, well, like even with Black Tie in the first season, one of the very first episodes that we watched, where he's like, "Oh, come on, Lemon, it's never gonna happen," because she keeps misreading his cues of like buying her necklaces for the Black Tie event, and everything is like that he might want to date her. And so like they play with that a little bit throughout the series, but this is the episode that really just hands it up.
It's very funny, and I'm glad that it doesn't continue, because I was like, I hate this. I don't like this. I like it when it's just platonic. Please don't make this go this direction. Don't break my heart. And I'm glad that they didn't. Very good. I also love that she goes to take her show to sports shouting, which is basically, it's literally, I know what Sports Center is because I was raised by very, very scarily masculine men, but it's Sports Center, but it's like obviously the most obvious but hilarious joke of just of men just yelling at each other about sports. This is also where Lemon gets an agent who is played by a little boy in a big suit. Not actually, but it looks like it. And at one point, he says to...
I love the
It's just so, like, in his little outfit, and, like, Liz is meeting with him and Jack, and he goes, I've seen some bras before. And Jack's like, I'm sure you have, kid. And it's just... Man, I've seen some.
We're both
bras.
Worldly men.
Like, it's just.
I've seen some bras.
And I think one of my favorites is when Tracy and Jenna are talking, and he goes, "All people look the same to me, Pete." Like, just absolutely gorgeous, incredible, 10 out of 10. Padma Lakshmi has a cameo as a woman who makes up the sandwich bag who he is interviewing to be Liz on Deal Breaker.
No, Jack. This is something that I created.
Oh, like a sandwich bag. No, Jack. This is different. And then I don't understand why I wrote this note. It's because I'm tired, but "What's up, you tall drink of bitch" is my favorite line from this episode. And I've literally, the context left my skull just now, but I was like, I'm saying that to everyone now. "What's up, you tall drink of bitch." Yes!
It's Scotty
oh my God,
Shofar,
it's
the
Brooke
guy that
Hogan. It's Brooke
produces
Hogan.
Sports shouting. Brooke Hogan. "What's up, you tall drink of bitch?"
It's just so good. The lines
The
are
lines
so
of dialogue in this show
funny.
are so
"What's
eminently
up,
quotable.
tall drink of bitch" is just something I would say, like, just naturally. So I love that. But it's cool to see in these episodes, like, Liz Lemon getting some positive stuff. You know what I mean? I feel like this poor woman is so often getting shit on and having to solve so many problems that it's kind of cool to see this arc of her having her own success and having people actually see her for more than just, like, a corraler of comedians. So, yeah.
Herding cats.
So, yes. I loved this episode. I thought it was very funny. Very... Again, I definitely got the rom-com play. But,
One of my favorite visual gags is the fact that because Tracy and Jenna give good advice at one point, although it really, I mean, it is good advice, like, from a business standpoint, but also, like, they're completely misreading the relationship between Liz and Jack, but they basically are the ones that tell Liz, "Oh, you need to shop this around, you need to go get yours." And so she does that, and then it becomes, like, this whole big situation. But they're like, "We gave really good advice." And so they get shirts that call themselves the problem solvers. One of them's wearing the problem, the other one is wearing solvers. And it's so funny because they keep, like, moving their bodies around in ways that it doesn't make sense. Like, you know, it's like, I'm with stupid, but it's pointing the wrong direction is basically like what the shirts are. And when they try to get Jack to help him, he, like, puts his hands on both his shoulders and looks at them because they're standing in reverse order. So it says solvers the problem. And by the end of the episode, they're both wearing a shirt that says the problem. And it's true. They are the problem. And it's such a funny little subtle visual gag that I just...
at one point Candace does go,
I love.
"Who said I've been alive forever?" And I was like, oh, here it goes. Here we go.
Yes.
Love it for us. Yay, yay, yay.
Also, not to spoil anything, but there have been some episodes, a couple of them that we have not watched on this, but there have been some episodes that sort of hint at Kenneth's future. And I love that back in season 1, something happens, and then here in season 4, something is happening that does not get paid off for 3 more seasons.
Okay. Cool.
And then let's talk about gay hipster cops and Sun Tea.
So this one I didn't...
And
I know.
how
this one I didn't
bad
take as many
Manhattan
notes
real
on
estate
because
is.
I was getting distracted by reading because I love this book so much. But absolute vibes and the feeling of what it means to try to find a place to live, because Liz finds out that they are selling the building as condos now, and you have to either buy your unit or leave. And thus begins her attempt to force one of her neighbors out of his apartment. trying every crazy girlfriend thing you could possibly imagine, only to find out that he is a gay hipster cop. But the only thing that solves it is we will share that. So I will not tell you yet what solves the problem, but boy oh boy, it's a good one. And then we also in this episode, Jack and Tracy get vasectomies together. And also we find out that Frank has been pissing in jars, also next to the sun tea.
It's a sun tea system. He makes sun tea, he makes urine, and then in a green move has been pouring it out the window and growing plants.
Life
with his
really
urine.
does find a way.
Life does find a way. And of course, Kenneth has been put in charge with the menial task of trying to make the building go green and save 5% on energy. And so this episode is another attempt at 30 Rock to make fun of the corporate mandates that they will have like a green peacock in the corner of the show and deal with the green initiatives. And I just, again, I love that the writers of 30 Rock are just like, we have to do this, so let's make it the most ridiculous and painful way that we can do it.
Just talking about green initiatives and putting piss on flowers. I mean, yeah. It all ends up that the way that she gets him to move out is that she just pisses in a jar as he walks in and he moves out.
I got the apartment. How did you do it? Don't worry about it.
She was like, I'm moving out. Like, I'm moving in now. And Jenna's like, you didn't answer me. How'd you get the apartment? She was like, no.
It's the way in which the show will take what should be just a one-note joke and makes it the payoff to the episode is just...
No.
You can't write
You really
comedy
can't.
better. I'm sorry.
You really fucking can't. Yeah, these episodes didn't bother me like the last two did. I don't know. I think they're just less of the, like, stereotypy... Oh my god, can you see her? I'm so sorry. Can you see her? Dishes! I'm packing, so I have this basket, like, stacked. And now that she has a way to be this close to me, she literally will always sit here now and hang out with me. Fuck! Oh my god, she's so small. Actually, she looks big. She looks huge.
She is getting bigger. She is getting bigger by the day. Cass is like...
I know. It's rough when they grow so quickly as kids.
Yeah, I agree.
It sucks.
It's happening so quick. Like, I can tell every day that she's a little bigger.
But yeah, I'm really digging season 4 so far. I really am digging the kind of more self-referential stuff, the kind of the growing gags. I'm having a good time.
In my opinion, this is where the show really hits its stride. I think 4, 5, and 6 are
okay.
The best
Cool.
of the series, to be honest. I think it's like they get silly. Like the whole thing with the problem solvers is really silly and it's dumb and it turns them into buffoons, but it's like entertaining. And I think that they're finally just kind of leaning into let's just get surreal and weird and just see how long we can last.
I'm very into it. Cool. Well, so then what's next for 30 Rock? We're keeping on. So tell me what to watch.
We're keeping on. So we are going to do the next episode 7, Deal Breakers Talk Show number 1. So this is the ultimate payoff for everything that has been building since the end of season 3 with her Deal Breakers book and show. This is the episode that pays it off. So we have that. And then we're also doing episode 9, Klaus and Greta, which has a guest starring appearance from a very wonderful redhead.
Okay, there's a couple people in
I'm
my
not going
head
to spoil
that
it.
could be. So okay, cool. Sounds good to me.
With a fake Boston accent.
Cool.
Kind of a horrible Boston accent.
Can't wait.
It's great. But all right, so that's what we're gonna do for next week on Little Cuts. But Mary Beth, who
So
are
on
we
Monday,
talking
we are talking with actor Dan Roebuck, who played Grandpa Munster in the Rob Zombie's The Munsters. And he's also in Final Destination, a lot of other movies. Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff.
Which we talk about.
He brought with him Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Fucking weird movie, man. But yeah, fucking weird. But yeah, so tune in for that. It's an interesting conversation. So yeah. So listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Did
Yeah.
you watch or read anything that we talked about this week and have thoughts? Do you have suggestions for things we should be covering? You can let us know by sending us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us on social media. I am at MB McAndrews on Twitter and at MB.McAndrews on Instagram. And of course, follow the podcast. Come on. We are at Scarred Podcast on Twitter and Blue Sky, and at Scarred for Life Podcast on Instagram.
And please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe. And we have a new seltzer for life for the patrons that are supporting us coming next week. And then the following week, we will be having our Fresh Wounds episode on Alleluia from the director / co-writer of Calvaire. His sort of interesting depiction of gender and murder from the Lonely Hearts Killer, based on the Lonely Hearts Killer real case. So that's coming your way in July.
Thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you everyone for listening. Please stay safe out there, but most importantly, stay creepy.
And until next time.